Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Trump's new border czar doesn't seem to be very open bordery. Good evening and welcome to another election aftermath news update. Trump is making very big moves already that threaten the matrix we have you plugged into. All those terrifying moves and more coming up tonight. But first, many Americans have noticed that since Trump won the election, the hosts of The View seem particularly stressed out for some reason. It appears as though they now have rabies. This just in! Republicans have officially won the House with a 209 to 218 majority. That's of course on top of the Republicans already being the official winners of the Senate. With the Republicans winning both the House and the Senate, it appears as though the Democratic Party has been defeated. And with Trump winning the White House, it appears as though the Republican Party has been defeated. With the two sides that serve the same master being defeated, the power has shifted back into the hands of the people. Next up, illegal immigration may soon become illegal. It just may, as Trump names his new border czar, Tom Homan. Step aside, Kamala, and get back in the kitchen where you belong. We've got a new border czar in town. As border czar, Tom Homan won't have big shoes to fill, he'll have women's shoes to fill. And because he's not a diversity hire, he probably won't be dressing like a woman or doing the job like she did. When faced with the toughest question about deporting people who are illegally in the country, here's what he had to say.
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Well, that's pretty straightforward. Our pro-immigration narrative has always depended on thinking nobody could answer that question so simply. We, the party that is extremely anti-family, telling you that nobody can be deported because it'll break up families, never thought that anyone would think of that. We'll go back to the drawing board and come up with a new game plan for why it's bad to deport illegals. Stay tuned, because next week we'll tell you what we thought of. In the meantime, take a look at AOC absolutely embarrassing Tom Homan when she educates him on how it's not illegal to break the law.
Legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
This just in! There was a third assassination attempt on President Trump, but we're not really covering those kind of stories anymore, so moving along. As President Trump continues to play dodgeball with the Hail Mary bullets that the deep state is desperately still shooting his way, he's been setting the stage for his administration taking office. And believe it or not, we at the media are criticizing some of, check that, everything he's doing. Take a look.
But one person has loomed over all of that. His name is Elon Musk. Multiple sources tell me tonight that Musk has been seen at Mar-a-Lago nearly every single day since Donald Trump won.
That's right. The president-elect meeting with and being advised by the smartest man on the planet, who's also making the biggest impact on the planet, should be frowned upon at all costs. We do have reason to believe that in Trump connecting with Elon, he overlooked business mogul and world-renowned artist Hunter Biden for political reasons. This just in! Trump has announced he's closing the Department of Education. In order to improve the education of our children, President Trump will be closing the Department of Education and sending that responsibility back to each individual state. Take a look.
And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states.
It's beginning to look as though President Trump is taking power away from the federal government and returning it back to the states and people, which is exactly what all power-hungry tyrants do. The federal government leading the school system has been nothing short of excellent. As you can see by this chart, since 2000, the administrative staff has grown by 95%, while the number of students has grown by just 5%. Expert government spending, if you ask me. Speaking of the effectiveness of government spending, Kamala Harris ran her very successful campaign in accordance with that. When you compare her newly released campaign spending stats to that of Trump, you'll see why someone who's never ran a successful business would be much better at running our country. Take a look. Kamala raised $1.003 billion. Kamala spent $1.3 billion. Kamala spent $582.53 million on staff. Trump, on the other hand, raised $381.54 million. Trump spent just $345.42 million. And Trump spent only $10.4 million on staff. The dictator is clearly uneducated on how to spend more money than he needs to, and that's why our economy will unfortunately be incredibly different under him. Additionally, on Kamala's effective spending, she paid $1 million to Oprah to interview her. Wonder why she didn't do Joe Rogan. That would have been free. Kamala also paid $10 million to Beyonce, $5 million to Megan Thee Stallion. Check that, Megan Thee Stallion. $2.3 million to Lizzo, $1.8 million to Eminem for him to sell his soul, and she spent $100,000 to build a fake Call Her Daddy podcast set so she didn't have to travel to LA. And keep in mind, some experts are suggesting that those celebrities that she paid to endorse her and appear at her rallies actually lost her votes. So we liberals should continue to grieve and shave our heads in protest, even though that makes us look like skinheads, because she won't be the one running the country and spending our money. That's it for today's news. We'll continue to narrate to you how Trump is bad no matter how much good he does. It is our duty that we take seriously. And please stay tuned. We'll be bringing you all the latest breaking news updates in the aftermath of this election. And we're also anticipating that before the inauguration, Biden will be forced to step down and Kamala will take office as president. Wouldn't that be swell? Good night. Quite clearly, we've seen over the last several years that three-letter agencies have been weaponized against we the people. The FBI raids the candidate that just won the election. The DOJ is used to attack political opponents of the DNC. The ATF wants to grab your guns. And the FDA prioritizes the health of pharmaceutical companies over your health. So in times like these, I think it is critical to stay strong and healthy for yourself and also to protect your family, because it's proven no one else is going to do it but you. And NMN by Black Forest Supplements is something I've been using to improve my health and strength, and I love it. There's a reason why it's been termed the Limitless Pill. It's for its strong anti-aging effects, where it can take up to 10 years off your aging process. And get this, it's a shocker. The FDA has been trying to ban NMN and get it reclassified as a pharmaceutical. Why? Because that benefits the pharmaceutical companies, not you. So you want to get NMN now while you can. And I asked my friends at Black Forest Supplements to give my viewers a good deal on NMN, and they came through. For the next 48 hours only, when you buy 2 bottles of NMN, you get 1 free. To take advantage of this amazing deal, go to blackforestsupplements.com/awaken and stock up on NMN now before it's taken off the market.